Chapter 171. Of all times, why did this have to happen when so many were listening? Once everyone had heard Revlin's words, the situation was spiraling out of control. Ash's mind was busy, regret gnawing at him for having allowed Revlin to speak so freely. As if it weren't bad enough, we are in the midst of coordinating discreet alliances with other families before the trial. Things will get troublesome if the Diarca family hears about this. But if Revlin's words were true, that posed an even bigger problem. That would mean war in a different sense. For Ashes himself, it didn't matter much who had killed Lenore, his loathed competitor. He was almost grateful that it could speed up his family's control over the situation. However, the family's perspective was different. The four great Duke families, having a shared history of opposing the emperor for a long time to prevent his power from growing too strong, weren't as close as they used to be after the selection of the crown prince. Seeing the Diarca family becoming increasingly arrogant after their victory, and the other three Duke families, including Apeto, began to feel uneasy. It's commonplace for yesterday's ally to become today's enemy. The present was calm, but what about after Prince Kashtian ascends to the throne? Was there any guarantee that the Duke family would not attempt to break the wings of the other families? Over the last few years, the Apeto family had been sending people to the east, where the Diarca family was strong, to gauge the atmosphere and recruit young nobles. This was also influenced by their heightened caution. Ashes had seen Duke Apeto worry about the situation after Kashtian's selection several times. If Duke Apeto had been present, he would have believed Revlin's words without questioning their authenticity. A few incidents caused by the family being exposed during the trial and shaking things up were tolerable. Ashes hadn't interfered in this matter, so once he had dealt with his father and his faction and become the Duke, the problems could be quickly rectified. However, if the one who killed Lenore was on the Emperor's side but the Diarca family, the story changed. What he needed most before he could rectify the family he would inherit were alliances with other families that could protect him in time. But what if the Diarca family, carrying the crown prince on their back, planned to attack the weakened Apeto family? Could they defend themselves? There was only one conclusion in Ash's mind, already considering the Apeto family as his own. If Revlin's words were true, the Apeto family could not easily overlook this situation. Engrossed in his thoughts, Ashes failed to notice that his inner turmoil was plainly visible to Kesher. As expected, he can't even consider the possibility that Prince Kashtian might have acted alone in this matter. Had Prince Kashtian already revealed his solo action and attempted to make contact, Ashes would undoubtedly have reacted differently. Unfortunately, the prince hadn't done so, and Kesher had managed to take advantage of the situation and use the card he had just obtained. All that remained was to witness the result. Very well, then I must examine this letter myself. Revlin handed over the letter just as Ashes finished his deliberation, as if expecting his response. You indeed should, although the poison that soaked the letter has mostly dissipated. You should be careful, given your frail health. At Revlin's words, Ashes flinched, and then hastily unfolded the letter. All eyes turned towards his fingertips. Onlookers in the back, eager for a glimpse of the letter, Ashes was reading, lost all dignity as they strained for a better view. And a moment later, Ashes Sean Apeto, having read both sides of the letter, opened his mouth so that all could hear, his face unnervingly expressionless. It seems we cannot proceed with the planned funeral today. My apologies to those who have attended. We will contact you again from the family home in the due course. What do you mean, sir? Has the Crown Prince truly? Then what about the Diarca dukedom? Ashes ignored the exclamations from the temple staff and the curious questions from the nobles, and glanced at the body still lying open in the casket. Return this casket and transport it to the Apeto family home. You mean the Apeto family home, not the temple? Yes. Understand that any further questioning would make your mouth and ears useless ornaments, which can be done without. Yes, understood. The frightened workers and servants quickly closed the lid of the casket containing Lenore's body and formed a procession. Before handing back the letter, Ashes, who remained behind, shot a piercing glare at Revlin for quite a while. You should have immediately contacted me or the family as soon as you received this letter, Revlin. Thanks to you, things will become much noisier. Why should I have done that? Why should you? No matter where you have entrusted your body, ultimately you are a person of the Apeto family. Knowing the current situation of the family and still holding yourself there, don't you feel ashamed? You are certainly not becoming a real cavalry member. At Ash's question, Revlin burst out laughing. Shame. Do you know, brother, this is the first time since my birth that we have had such a lengthy conversation. What of it? Hearing Ash's sharp response, Revlin looked around as if to show off. It hadn't been long since he'd left the Apeto family and entrusted himself to the cavalry, but it was enough to understand the place. During this time, Revlin had ventured outside freely for the first time and mingled with people while eating. He was taught to avoid eye contact with the rough and dirty commoners, but those he met were incredibly kind. Even members like Devron, who had a hard time due to the Apeto family, were slightly gruff at first, but after knowing what Revlin had done, they softened and remained silent. It was a complete contrast to the family members who would beat their servants to death over the slightest indiscretion and thought it would be better if a child like Revlin died quickly. Neon, his lover, had often said that compared to the Apeto family, this place was like heaven. Every time Revlin saw his relieved face, he was thankful many times over that his decision to send a messenger to Yther that day was not wrong. I have never felt like I was part of Apeto, but now this place feels right. Even if I can't become an official cavalry member, I have no intention of going back. So just assume I have died. What? Ashes was taken aback by his younger brother's statement. He didn't know what Duke Peleda had done to the child, but his mind seemed to be firmly set. Ha! I see. So you like being with those filthy commoners. If being called a traitor pleases you, I won't stop you. Thank you. Ashes trembled at the corners of his eyes at Revlin's calm gratitude, but he quickly turned around. The person who stopped him as he was about to leave without even a proper farewell was Kishir, who was smiling merrily. Well, I thought a conversation between brothers who haven't met in a while would be longer. Are you already leaving? Thank you for your consideration, but I have a lot to do when I get back. What a pity. After receiving the message you sent a while ago, I was looking forward to meeting someone who could view the injustices happening within the family with such impartial eyes. At Kishir's insinuating gaze, Ashes unknowingly twitched his eyelids. That is, I don't think this is a place to discuss such matters under the current circumstances. Ashes bit his lip slightly as he remembered the contents of the letter he had sent to Kishir. Kishir laughed and waved his hand. Oh, I see. I apologize. Nevertheless, I will not forget my gratitude for your clear judgment today, which allowed me to quickly get out of the unpleasant rumors I have been suffering from. Feel free to contact me again. I'm still greatly interested in what you sent me. Visiting the cavalry and having a conversation might be good too. You never know, right? Your heart might feel at ease like Revlin's, and it could be beneficial for your health. Upon hearing the word health, Ashes reacted visibly. Seeing this, Kishir laughed with a casual expression. Ashes was an ambitious man who held the future of the Apeto family. However, even he, bold enough to contemplate toppling his father, seemed to find it difficult to maintain his composure in the face of his health weakness. After seeing the healthy glow of Revlin's face, one wonders if he knew how obsessively his gaze was burning. If he hadn't seen it, he wouldn't know. But now that he had, he wouldn't be able to hold out for long. I understand. Watching the retreating back of Ashes, who was offering a semblance of a farewell, Kishir felt that it was time for him to leave as well. Now, shall we also return? Everyone has worked hard. Not at all. We are happy that you brought us along. The cavalry members, led by Revlin, shouted in unison, their eyes shining brightly.